All right, let's go over Mr. Bill. Come on, where you at, Bill? Okay, why do I not hear anything?
Restarted or unstarted? He restarted. Okay, there he goes. Now we'll go send people his way. Try to change some settings on this thing here. Hold your horses, Angry. I know you like to be in a hurry and do all that get in a hurry stuff here, but you don't have to get in a hurry yet. I'm getting the rating thing set up for you. Just got to change some settings here. Calm down. Calm down. Don't get your
Pretty calm.
beard in a uproar. Here we go. Here we go. Hold your horses. Customization over there. He's probably still getting set up anyway. You guys can go hang out with Angry over there in a second. I showed you the other options you can go to also, but if you want to keep listening to Angry's based opinions about things, click on.
All right, I see people coming over. When you come in, just throw a comment in my chat so I know who's here. Welcome, welcome.
Looks like in his stream right now, just to make sure I get the proper ratage. My audio, we're playing his audio. Okay. There he is over there. There we go. You guys ready to go? Unfiltered is on his way over there. Thanks for streaming. No problem.
Wow, the delay is crazy.
Staying up later or earlier, depending on what coast you're on. Just hang out with Angry Oregonian over there. 30-second countdown. For the heck of it.
All right, guys. Those of you who are in here, give me 1 second. I will be right back. Literally be back in like 90 seconds. Still here, guys. Give me a second. Take care of something real quick. Still here, guys. Give me a second. Ooh, all right, I'm back. Holy crap, what does that say? 69 people? Is that what that says? 82. Holy shit. All right, who's in my chat? Hi, Kaz. What's happening? Unfiltered came with. Holy shit. I'll be right back. From our sponsor. Our sponsor today is Kazion. Ooh, all right, I'm back. All right. Holy crap, what does that say? 69 people? That we can't. Is that what that says? 82. Holy shit. Find something else to put. All right, we'll back my chat. Here. So that Kaz, what's happening? Unfiltered came with. I don't know which is which now. Be right back. Okay. Whoa. What is Mr.
What
Bill
is
show?
going on right now?
Let me find something to show in the background. There's BG. We'll throw that on there.
There's no books or props allowed, so you either put it down. There's no books, no paraphernalia. That's the council rule.
Doc G, what's up?
Let's go.
For 3 years straight, the #1 name in the country of
Yeah, this
England
is today.
for newborn babies is Muhammad. Tell me
Or this
that
way.
white Christians are not being invaded.
Okay.
How can you lie to our...
All right, where are we at? Let's see who's in chat first. You got a mess of folks here. Yes, I do. Holy crap. Thank you all for tuning in. What are we doing tonight? I don't know. The thing that's pressing me today is the whole Dearborn thing. That's the latest news, I guess. So I guess we can talk about that unless there's something you guys find more pressing. But at 3:00 in the morning, this is what's on my mind. I saw somebody in the chat, in the other chat, saying that that Islam has not taken over anything. And then I saw other people from that area saying that that was an incorrect statement. And from what I've heard and read and seen, you can see Jake here. Let's go. You see here, he's got Bibles in his hand, it looks like. And the city council, yes, please hit those buttons. That would be great. The city council made him put it down. It said you can't have a book in your hand for your speech. I've been in city government. I've been at the table and listened to public speaking time, the allotted time for the public to. They usually have like 3 minutes to spit out whatever they have on their mind. And I've never seen such crazy thing. Like you can't have props, as they were calling it. To me, a Bible is not a prop, but they made him put his shit down. So, Dearborn and the Agents of Chaos. Yeah. So I'm going to let this play a little bit. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I'll turn it up a little bit. I want to make sure you guys can hear what he's saying. Because here's the thing, and I've said it, I'm not a Jake Lang fan. I call him Joke Lang because I don't like shock jocks. And I think a lot of the stuff he does is simply for clicks and views. You may disagree with me. That's fine. I'm just telling you my personal opinion on him. But the flip side of that coin, I do agree with a lot of his message. I'm not a big fan of the great replacement theory, but I do think there's some element of truth to it. There is some of that actually happening. Not to the degree that some people are hyping it up, but it is happening. And it has, at the very least, it has potential of taking place, which worries me. I do see, how do I say this without sounding like a racist? I do see the diluting of your average Caucasian people. Part of that is because America's a melting pot, and it's kind of how do I say it? A demographically inevitability. That doesn't even sound right. Don't really like him, but you are correct about him. Well, thank you, Kaz. I appreciate the somebody agreeing with me. With us being a melting pot, you're going to get the how do I say this? The pure white race, quote unquote, is going to be less and less a thing because we're not a racist country as everybody would like to keep promoting it as. We do have diversity in this in America, and we don't outlaw interracial relationships or breeding, I guess you would say, to be direct about it. So as the experiment of America goes on and on, you're going to get more interracial relationships and more mixed breed people. And I don't see an issue with that. I really don't. That's not a problem. I'm not saying it like that. I have plenty of friends that have mixed ethnicity backgrounds. Some white Latinos, some black Latinos, some Hawaiian blacks, some Puerto Ricans. I've got friends of every color and most every color. I've had Asian friends. I've even had a Middle Eastern friend or two throughout the years. And I don't have an issue with that. I think people are people, and as long as people act like people, then the color of their skin shouldn't really matter. That being said, like I was stating earlier, the more America is a melting pot, the less you're going to have any kind of pure race involved in it. So just it's kind of a progress thing, I guess you could say. The longer this experiment of America goes on, the more you're going to have mixed ethnicities. So I don't believe in the great replacement theory, as they say, but he does have a point when it comes to, here, I'll let it play for a minute and you guys can hear for yourself.
Say that, sir.
Quoting from Holy Book.
There's no books or props allowed, so you either put it
No
down.
Qurans and Dearborn?
You've got 1 second.
That's a
and you're
violation
gonna
of the-
put
I was told
it
that.
down, or there's no book, no paraphernalia. That's the council rule. Okay, let's go.
For 3 years straight, the #1 name in the country of England for newborn babies is Muhammad. Tell me that white Christians are not being invaded. How can you lie to our faces with your taqiyya? This is an invasion on all fronts.
Nope, not mute.
We're being pushed out of city councils. That smug face of the taqiyya.
Okay, so here's the thing. First off, and yes, Doc, I'll get to that point in a second, brother. Did you hear all that applause? That applause was because they made him get rid of his Bible. That right there is disgusting to me, as a Christian, as somebody who believes that America was founded on Christian principles, that the founding fathers used the Bible as a guide. I believe the Bible was a guide to our Constitution. I know there's plenty of leftists and progressives out there that say, oh, we were an atheist country and they weren't all Christians and yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. I'm sure there were people that weren't diehard devout Christians. There may have been an atheist or two that signed the Bill of Rights. I'm not going to say everybody was a minister in those days, but they believed in biblical principles. They believed in the 10 Commandments, for lack of another way to put it. And I think that was the founding of our Constitution. And I think that the morals and the ethical values of biblical principles guided what became our societal norms in our civilization. So for them to applaud that an American citizen has to put his Bible down in order to speak is absolutely despicable. So that's my first point. My second point is you'll hear him say Mohammed is, or here, I don't want to misquote him. So let's go back a little bit.
Faces with your taqiyya are not being invaded. Muhammad, 3 years straight, the #1 name in the country of England for newborn babies is Muhammad.
Okay, I didn't catch that he said England, so I'm gonna revamp that. I kind of brushed over that, and I thought he was talking about Dearborn. But even so, we'll alter a little, we'll switch tracks a little bit. And he said that the number one name in England is Mohammed. Everybody, all of us, I'm pretty sure, have seen what's going on over there in Europe, have seen what's going on, especially in England. First of all, one drastic difference between us and Britain is our Second Amendment. Our Constitution gives us quite a few more rights than the Magna Carta. And one of those would be the Second Amendment. Because they do not have Second Amendment rights over there, they were pushovers. And I don't think that was by accident. I don't think it was an unintended consequence. I think it's been kind of a plan for a long time over there because they're quite a bit more liberal than we are. I think that they're having a little bit harder time pushing their agenda, I guess you would say, or taking over, conquering communities in America, because we do stand for our own. We do hold our own. We do have a line eventually. And that is why, and he keeps over and over using the word invasion. And then we get apologists that come on and say, that's not really happening. It's all media hype. It's this and that. It's not. Look, and you can see over and over again circumstances from Europe, multiple countries in Europe, that are being overrun because of little or no immigration enforcement limitations. Because they don't have limitations on their immigration, the Islamic culture is just running rampant and taking over large areas of these countries. And it is an invasion. We watched, I want to be dramatic about it and say we watched in horror, and some of us did find it horrific, what happened in the town in the southern tip of Spain. I can't remember the name of the town, but I know it was Spain. And we watched thousands of military-age Islamic quote unquote refugees as they stormed a little town, and they came ashore with nothing but the clothes on their back. So what did they do? They turned around and completely ransacked an entire town. And I'm sure there were other things that happened that didn't make the news. And then we get to the point that Doc just made. To be in a melting pot, you have to be willing to melt. Muslims aren't melting. No, they're not here to assimilate. It's not in their credo. They are not here to be part of us. They are here to replace us. They are here to convert us if they can. They do not assimilate. They come here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to expand their boundaries in the world. And they've done it for 600 to 2000, was that 1400 years now? Because it's more than a quote unquote religion. It's a politic. It's a cult. It's a giant cult. And it is a warrior cult. It was created by somebody that wanted to conquer the known world. And it's written into their teachings. I'm not a Muslim expert, so I can't sit here and tell you what verse in the Quran or blah, 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 blah. I don't have the receipts, as they say, but I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge that everything in their teaching says to conquer, convert, lie to if you have to, be violent if you have to. But your charge as a strong Muslim is to do away with the infidel one way or another. Either bring him into Islam or conquer him. one way or another, by all means necessary. That is their charge. That is what their politics and religion tell them to do. Why would you think it would be any different here? Because we see it happen in Britain. We see it happen in Spain. We see it happen in France. I think it's even happening in like Switzerland and Bavaria and all of that. There's my puberty voice. But all over the EU, the European Union, this is happening because they want to be inclusive, because they believe in globalism and socialism. So they don't want to restrict immigration. And this warrior-like cult takes advantage of that. And they're trying to do the same thing here. Because to them, we are the devil. We are the infidel. We are the devil. They don't want to be us because we suck to them. We are evil. We are degenerate. Why would they want to be us? Why would they want to assimilate to us? But yet they are in certain ways. I watched the film of earlier, all these, late teens, early 20-ish looking Middle Eastern youngsters running around in their designer jeans and wearing gold chains and $100 plus tennis shoes on and all that. That's all Western stuff. That came from here. That's American. And they're all about it. I see women running around here with rainbow colored, pastel, flowery hijabs with their faces showing. They're driving around a Lexus with big old gaudy rings on their fingers, nails did, her done. EU is an evil entity, same as NATO and UN. I agree with that. The European Union, that's why they had Brexit. A lot of good it's doing them because they're still letting Muslims take over, but that's where Brexit came from, is they don't want any part of it. What a lot of people don't know is the EU and NATO are responsible for the Ukraine war. But these Muslims, they come over here and they still want to claim that they're good, honest, faithful Muslims, but yet they're adopting the Western culture that is comfortable and convenient to them. They want to pick and choose which parts of Islam and which part of American they want to be. Willy-nilly, whatever makes them feel better. I guarantee you that 90% of those kids running around in front of the Dearborn City Hall today didn't get on their prayer mats 3 times today. I guarantee you a good large portion of those youngsters running around in the black t-shirts at some point in the last week had bacon on their hamburger, because that's the assimilation they want to do. They don't want to assimilate to laws and responsibilities and things of that sort, but they want to assimilate to American comforts because they're conquering. And when you go conquer a nation, the things that you like about that nation, you let stay. But you need to make sure that the current inhabitants of that conquered nation are assimilating to your culture and your beliefs and your traditions. But as far as they go, they're only going to they're only going to hold on to what they like about you. That's how it works when you conquer a nation. That's how we did it. When we conquered the Native Americans, anything about we liked corn and farming, so we adopted that. But we told them they couldn't speak their language anymore. We liked their, their hunting skills and their basket weaving and all. There's probably 100 things about Native Americans that we adopted because it was convenient for us and made our life better. But yet they had to assimilate to our culture. We could take their culture in a lot of cases. And that wasn't right, dude. That wasn't right. But that's, unfortunately, that's part of, it's part of the game of Risk. When there's colonization, when people move around, when societies expand and colonize and all that, that's just how it works. All's fair in love and war, they say. And they say that because it's not fair. It's kind of one of those ironic and contradictory statements at the same time. Is Dearborn Council mainly Muslim? I watched, Mr. Bill played a film of a seemingly local black guy. Seemed like he was probably a preacher of some sort or whatever. And he was pointing out individual council members. And he was saying quite a few of them, I know you're not, I know. And pointing out people that were overtly Muslim. And then he was pointing out the others that supported Islam, supported the Muslim takeover of their community. So I'm going to say they are mainly Muslim or Muslim accepting, judging by what he said about the council. And I've heard and read that, there are even places in Dearborn that are called no-go zones. And you wouldn't be allowed to do that. You couldn't get away with that without the help of City Hall. So there has to be a large Muslim contingency inside Dearborn City Hall. And when this happens, they literally take over. They don't just chill. Okay, so we have in our little town, it's really small, we have one grocery store, a Dollar General, a gas station, and a couple of like small convenience stores. And the convenience stores are owned by Middle Easterners. I think one store, they're Indian. And I'm not sure what the other ones are. To me, they kind of seem like they're not like Afghani or Pakistani. They're more of Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia type. So I'm going to guess they're from that region. They are super friendly, super cool, super accommodating. Part of that is because I think they understand customer service. But I mean, they're very attentive. Like one of them has a drive-through, and I can sit 3 cars back in the drive-through lane. And by the time I get out there, he has my cigarettes, my wife's cigarettes, what we both like to drink. And he'll ask me, do you guys want biscuits and gravy this morning? He knows what I'm going to ask for before I even get up there. To me, that's great customer service, and I appreciate that. And like one day we had problems with our debit card, and we ended up $20 short on what we were going to buy. And we know you guys are in here almost every day, whatever, pay us next time you come back in. Super non-aggressive, like really decent people and very accommodating. It's a small community, but I think that's why we're way out in the middle of nowhere. We're out in the country. They rely on us not being mad at them for their business. So it's a great business decision for them to act like they do. But I think they're actually part of the community. They have to be. They're an extreme minority. Not like in the cities where they can have, I guess they said there's like 50,000 of them in Dearborn or something like that. Not so out in the country. So out in the country, they've assimilated greatly. I recall the store in the other little town I used to live in, and they had one that came over. One of them, for religious reasons, had extremely long hair, and that's why they wrap it up and do the turban thing. They may be Sikh. They may not be Muslim. I think these guys are sheiks. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And it took a while, but he was here for a while, and he eventually cut all his hair off. And apparently that's like a big no-no in their culture for some political reasons or family reasons or something. But yeah, they assimilated. And now I used to hear them listening to their Lear and Hart music all the time, and in their Bollywood type music and whatnot. And now I hear them listening to American radio. So they are assimilating, and they are becoming Americans. Sikhs, yeah. I'm not exactly Sikhs. But super cool people. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're isolated and an extreme minority. But you get these guys, and they're just taking over communities because they find these sanctuary cities that allow them to do whatever the hell they want to do. And that's exactly what they want to do. They want to take over. They want to conquer. They want to conquer without actually having to put the work in that other nations do to conquer. If we wanted to conquer somebody, we'd send troops over there, have a war about it, and conquer a nation. These guys are taking advantage of liberal generosity and conquering quietly, I guess. I'm not sure how to say exactly what I'm saying. I think you guys get the gist, though. They're conquering without even having to fight. We're giving it to them. I bet they didn't have to do it. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, Kaz. Obviously, they let themselves get overrun by foreigners, whether they immigrated legally or not. But here's something that nobody's talking about, and I mentioned this in probably MDG's chat this morning or early afternoon. The southern border, the illegal immigrants that cross the southern border are not all Southern Americans or Central Americans. There's been documented cases. People have actually documented this, that there are a lot of Middle Easterners that came across the southern border. And they have to go somewhere. But because we've allowed them to have their safe spaces, so to speak, they can cross the southern border, come in here illegally, and just blend in whatever Middle Eastern or Somali or whatever Islamic community we've allowed them to create. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're breaking the laws to get into our country, you're probably going to continue breaking laws. That's kind of how I see it. If you enter somewhere as a criminal, where's your incentive to not be a criminal after that? And if you illegally come into our country, you're criminally trespassing as a way of life. You are a consistent and habitual criminal. Every day you're trespassing in our country. So if you're getting away with being a criminal every single day that you exist here, what's to stop you from committing other crimes? Especially when you're a 18, 19-year-old male with all this angst and anger and energy that you got to get out somewhere. We all know how we are when we're young kids, young adults. And you're coming from a culture that has way less civility, I guess you would say. Some of these countries have stricter rules because of the, I always get Shia and Sunni mixed up, but some of them, they come and claim refugee status because of a oppressive government, which is based on a religion. So I can't say that they come from a free-for-all atmosphere. But when you live in a country that doesn't have the freedoms that we have, they don't have to have laws against the things, I guess you would say. There's no regulation. When you're riding around on the backs of donkeys and goats, and then you go to a country where everybody has an automobile, and you get the freedom to get that automobile without any regulation because you're illegal in the first place, are you going to be worried about being a legal and conscientious driver? No. I drove a lot of years without a license. There's two schools you can do. You can either be overly cautious and you drive a mile an hour under the speed limit all the time. You put your blinker on 250 yards away from a turn and drive like a 80-year-old woman on a Sunday morning. Or you go the other route, which I did, and where no fucks are given because you're already riding dirty anyways. So you just do whatever you want to do. I do what I want. That's the route I took. And I think a lot of these guys do too. I know what it's like. I lived in an oppressive house growing up. My parents had some issues, like most parents do. And then when I was in about fourth grade, we ended up in some financial trouble. Our family did. We ended up moving in with my grandmother, who was a very devout Christian. And my grandmother, and at the time, my father was a bar brawling, pool hustling, drunkard truck driver. And his mother, my grandmother, said, if you have to take refuge in my house, you're going to straighten your ass up and live by my rules. If you want me to help you take care of your family in your time of need, you're going to have to straighten up, is what she told my dad. So she drug my dad and mom to church, drug us kids to church, and all of a sudden we became the born-again family full of the Holy Ghost. We became very devout church people. So you had my dad that went from one extreme to the exact polar opposite extreme. And as some of you know, with addictive personalities, you have to be all in. So that's what they did. My dad became a cop. We went to church twice a week, surrounded ourselves with fellow church members as friends and people that we hung out with. I mean, everything we did was centered around the church. They became super Christians, so to speak. And with that resulted in us kids being oppressed. We went to extreme religious rules and regulations. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. I kind of lost it. Oh, so when I was a teenager, my biological father got a hold of my mom, who I hadn't seen since I was 2 years old. So I hadn't seen him in 13 years. Because my mom and my stepdad took me when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and in the middle of the night fled with me and went all the way across the country. And somewhere along the line, he married his second wife, third wife, who knows. And she said, "That's your oldest son. You need to regain contact with your oldest son." And because I was a rebellious teenager and my parents were being oppressive, they were at their wits' end. And when my biological father showed up or popped back up, got in contact with him, they're like, "Yes, take him. We're having problems with him," and sent me out to California. Now, my dad and his wife at the time had no idea what to do with a teenager. So they gave me my own room that used to be a laundry room off the back of the house, had my own entry and everything, and basically gave me all this freedom. Basically, I had to be home by like 10 o'clock at night. I had to give them some vague general idea as to where I was going and what I was doing in the day. And when I say vague in general, I mean vague in general. Like, "Oh, I'm going to be in Del Mar today." Okay, cool. "What are you doing today?" "I think I'm hanging out in town here in Escondido." "Are you going to the beach?" "Probably not." "Okay, cool. Later." That was the extent of my supervision. And I went hog wild. I went absolutely batshit crazy because I went from a super oppressed environment to excessive freedom overnight as a young male. I see that happening in these. I mean, I see it happening in these illegal communities, these communities that are full of immigration bypassers. How about we put it that way? I see it happen in the Hispanic community a lot. That's where we get these gangs. That's where we get these street takeover kids and shit like that. What's up, Douglas Shalley? But then you get these Muslim communities with these kids. And like I said, you can't convince. I saw some of these guys. I was watching all day, and I saw the same youth. I'll call them kids because I'm a boomer, old Gen X. But I watched these kids all day. I didn't see anybody bring out prayer mats. I didn't see anybody head to the mosque other than the bikers, apparently. The most religious thing I've seen out of them is them marching down the street, yelling "Aloha snack bar." You can't convince me that these guys are devout Muslims. They go from an extremely, some of them third world area, and come to the land of plenty and get all this freedom slapped in their lap. They're going to go batshit crazy with that freedom. And this is why we get such crime rates in these communities. They're not raised with respect for women. And then they come here to where all the women are bosses, independent women, blue-eyed devils that do whatever they want. So what are they going to do with that? And this is why they're not compatible, in my opinion. This is why I don't think they should be allowed. If they're not going to assimilate, if they're not going to accept American culture, then they need to not benefit from American culture. And they don't need to F it up for us to do. Because that's what they want to do. Because we are infidels. It's in their nature, people. You can't tell me, oh, well, not all Muslims are like that. It's in the book. If they're not like that, they wouldn't be Muslim. I'm not against somebody because they come from the Middle East. I'm against somebody because they bring the Middle East with them. That's what bothers me. I left Portland and moved to the country because I didn't like Portland. I didn't bring Portland with me. I came out to the country to be in the country and be a country person. I did not move out to the country so that I could live Portland out here. If I wanted to still live Portland, I'd be living it in Portland. But there are plenty of people that do that. That's why the county seat, any place with a college, any far out town that has more than 20,000 people in it is turning liberal. Because Portlanders are moving out of Portland, but bringing Portland with them. I don't think that's right. That's why we have these problems with Hispanics that have large numbers of illegals in their community. Because they leave Mexico to come to America, but they want to bring Mexico with them. If Mexico's so damn cool, why didn't you just stay there? It's a common sense question. It's not racism to ask that question. It's not xenophobia to ask these questions. It's common sense. If it's so damn cool that you're going to say, I hate America and fly a flag of another nation, if you love your nation that much, then why did you leave it? That seriously makes no sense to me. But that's what they do. They want to leave somewhere that sucks so bad, but they want to bring it with them. And all of these, and the thing is they want to bring the stuff that benefits them. They want to bring the stuff that makes their life convenient or their life better as a man. They come over here and they find out American women ain't wearing no burqa. American women ain't going to be told to shut up. Don't be bringing your hoods to my woods. Thank you. American women ain't going to be told to stay in the house unless you get permission to leave. American women ain't doing that. So they want to bring burqas, an oppressive culture to women, with them to America because they ain't got no game. They haven't adapted enough and figured shit out enough to get an American woman, except for the retarded liberals that want to earn social justice points by dating a brown person. Those are the women they can get, and even they don't want those women. So because they got no game, they brought that part of Islam with them. The whole submissive woman thing. Because American women ain't going for that shit. So they have to rely on women in their community doing what they're told, being treated like dogs. But that's an example of them bringing with them what's convenient for them. And then the things that they don't like, praying 5 times a day, not being able to drink from fountains, not being able to use banks from people that aren't Islam, all of those things that they think are oppressive and they can get away with ignoring here in the States. Yes, Kazian, I 100% agree with you. The things that they can get away with ignoring in the States, they do. That there they'll assimilate to a Western culture because it suits them, because it makes it easier for them. But when it comes to our laws and responsibilities and basic the manners and ethics and morals that we have in our society, the most important of which is personal accountability, they don't want to deal with that. They're not going to assimilate to that. Then you get a couple hundred youth, all men. You notice that. You didn't see any burqa-clad women running around that protesting because they were all told to stay home. That's funny, Doc. Put a burqa on a cocktail waitress in a Dolly Parton wig. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Let him try and put a burqa on my wife and watch what happens. I'm just going to stand back and watch that and sell tickets. But yeah, there were no women. At the protest. Again, other than the social justice seeking weirdo women that want to piss their daddy off by marrying an immigrant. Those kind of women were running around, but they sure as hell weren't in burqas. We saw the one person on I saw her on MDG stream. I don't know who was actually filming her on the ground. I think actually she was filming herself. I think she's probably a TikTok streamer. But we all saw the fake blonde haired. You could tell by her nose and the shape and the eye definition that she was Middle Eastern, or at least part Middle Eastern. But she had the big blonde wig going on. Oh, all right, hang on a minute, guys. Hang on. What's up?
Just real quick, anyways, I'm looking up second sight, next sense to see the future far away, advancing medicine and that can be in the future too, it's God. You know what will happen before it takes place?
He comes through here every night.
Right?
He's usually got somebody with him on bicycle. They fly through there. Yeah, every night he flies through here.
But I'm sitting here reading about something.
Yeah.
It's called clairvoyance, which is my family's DNA out of France, both sides. Out of the monasteries, this prophet will rise. It's a priest level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Heoka Field is what that sucker's gonna be called. When you look up Heoka, it'll show you what we're about.
All right.
Okay. Coming up today,
Do what?
today's Wednesday, right?
I think so.
That's something I do with a chop off for the sidewalk, but I don't know. This space required for retarded. This space we do for all the way down the sidewalk. Remember, they this shit, you can't have this shit. Smooth sidewalk, but I thought they were tagging it.
Right on. So it's not going to bother me.
I kind of figured it was a spot to be, right?
Right. All right, guys, I'm about that. Oh, okay, let's see. Where was I? Good conversation that Americans should be talking about. Yeah. So that's the thing. Is this is why he calls it an invasion, guys. because they're coming here and just taking what they want and not giving anything in return. Yes, I am at work, Kaz. You can see the office shit behind me. This is not my home studio. I am at work. So that's why I have to every once in a while maybe disappear for a minute. Genitals don't define gender. How does removing them affirm it? Okay, so here's funny thing about that. And I have to laugh about this because the liberals are embracing the Muslims. The Muslims are entirely 1,000% more strict on gender affirming roles than we are. We allow people to be transgender. We allow people to cross dress. We allow people to be gay. We allow people to claim whatever gender they feel like they are that day. We allow all this stuff to happen. Islam doesn't. I'd like to see one mosque with a female imam. Point that out to me, please. Because I would like to have my mind blown. If you show me one female imam, you show me one mosque where they run around with rainbow scarves and saying, love is love. No, Islam doesn't put up with all that stuff. So how come we're racists and bigots and homophobes and all of this stuff when we allow this in our country? Because most of us at heart are libertarians, and we're like, as long as you do it over there and don't force it on me, I don't really care. That's how most Americans legitimately think. Despite the narrative, if you find out that your neighbor's a transgender, you're probably just going to ignore them. You're not going to go over there and do harm to them. You're not going to burn down their house. You're not going to take a ball bat to their car. You're not going to hit them with a hose every time they come out their door. Because most of America at heart is libertarians. Unless you're a whack job progressive, but most people that aren't loony lefties, Democrats and Republicans alike, most of us are libertarians. Most of us feel like as long whatever you're doing over there is your business. As long as you don't force it on me, I'm not going to say anything about it. That's how we live as Americans, and that's how I think it should be. I don't really care who you screw in your bedroom. As long as it's not mine, I don't care. Don't do it in front of my kids, and I don't care. Don't force me to watch it or participate it or force me to say I accept it. Because apparently not caring is not good enough for them. Apparently you have to embrace it rather than accept it. But you can be all of those things. You can be gay, transgender, drag queen, cross-dresser. You can be all those in America. You can't in Islamic countries. So explain to me how the people that call us racist and bigoted and homophobic and all of this, all those people that call us those names, even though we're accepting them, are accepting of a religion that wants to throw them off of buildings. Make that math add up. Make that make sense. It's backwards as crap. What's the saying we say? Chickens for KFC? Yeah, only in USA, probably. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple, like probably not Newfoundland. Finland, the Dutch people, Amsterdam, probably the Swiss. And I've heard rumor that the Swiss are starting to get overrun. Going to sleep, 11. Oh, gotcha. Okay, well, good night, Cass. Thanks for hanging out. Leave me the fuckalonian. Yeah, right? Right? That's basically what we are. It's like I have the freedom to do whatever I want in my house, so do you. Just don't force it into my house. long as I don't have to deal with it, I don't care. As long as you're a decent person. And if you're too freaky, I just won't mess with you. I just won't have anything to do with you because I don't like hanging out with people like that. It's not because necessarily you're right or wrong. It's just not my thing. So I'm not going to fuck with you. But in Islam, it's not that way in the Middle East. In Islamic countries, you legitimately get persecuted. But we're the bad guys, and Islam is good guys. That's how backwards world, clown world, the lefty lives in. It's opposite day, apparently. Remember when you were in elementary school and you wanted to get at somebody? So you're like, it's opposite day. Whatever you say to me is you, blah, 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 blah. It's opposite day. If you tell me I'm bad, that means I'm good. It's opposite day. Well, the lefties live that every day as grown-ass adults. Half the time in charge of children, which is the really scary part. Oh, my God. Hang on, guys.
I'm gonna do a copy.
What's that?
I'm gonna do a copy and I'm gonna take off, do some riding. But I just looked up way up where it shifts cultures and they're known as the clown people. One song came to town a year ago on a bus after the fire and before the fire. It's Counting Crows, the new one from last year. They were going to do a concert and I got chased out. It was obvious and everything after was the first one. Counting Crows, that came out of the song last year. And it's called Spaceman from Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Spaceman from Tulsa, check it out. Because, like I said, we shift cultures and do things backwards. We ride horses backwards. We dress inside out. We don't walk the normal path of most people. But it left from the Lakota tribes into the general plains of indigenous people. And like I said, a hope can come from any tribe. And all I need is an M23, and I will show them books of magic and fucking help me that will show me a way to cross 600 years ago. So like I said, if you watch some videos, I think it's Joker 639. They got a video about rising from the ashes of Phoenix and weapon that God forged. A lot of it's AI video, but it's new music with frogs, and that's what it's about. Frogs are delivered to the Pharaoh when God needed a time of deliverance.
Right on.
But check out Spaceman from Tulsa.
Spaceman. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. I'm back, guys. Oh. Who said that? Tall fences make good neighbors. You are correct. They call any of you guys that have built a fence or been in the fence trade or whatever, they call it a good neighbor fence when they're like this back and forth. So if you stand at the right angle, you can see through the fence, and it feels like half the fence is on your side, half the fence is on their side. They call that a good neighbor fence. I think a good neighbor fence is a solid 6-foot fence that you can't see through. And whatever happens on their side of the fence happens on their side of the fence. Whatever happens on my side is my business. Those are the fences I think make good neighbors. I'm very, very private about my private property. I'm a good neighbor. I get along with my neighbors. Most of my neighbors are pretty cool now. We had to move back into a neighborhood. Unfortunately, we've been living out in country setting for a while, but we had to move back into a neighborhood. And so I've had to learn to get along with neighbors again. I haven't had to do that in quite a few years, but we're good neighbors, and we like living in, we like having a community of the people that live around us. But my property is still my property. I used to watch Wonder Woman. Now everyone's wondering if it's a woman. Yeah, that's funny. That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't understand chickens for KFC. I do understand it though. That's the sad part is I do know why it happens. I know why these progressives and left-leaning people embrace Islam because it's antithetical to American belief. They are so anti-America and they don't even know why. They're anti-America because it's trendy, because it's rebellious. They're so anti-American that they will embrace anything that goes against the system. But they're incredibly hypocritical because they want to say that the system is bending them over with no lube, but yet everything that they do supports that system that they say is so oppressive to them. The government sucks, but we want more government. We want the right to freedom, but we want the government to control that freedom. Think about that statement for a minute. They want the government to control their freedom. That is the irony that the left lives in. Thank God is live out in the sticks, not around anyone. Is life out in the sticks? Yeah, I agree, Douglas. I agree. Come invited, my place is yours. Come uninvited, make sure your affairs are in order. Amen. 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 But that's the dichotomy of the left. They everything they do, they contradict themselves in. They want to be individuals. They want to be unique. So they embrace the same anti-societal trends that everybody else does. Back in the day, it used to be trendy and it used to be different and it used to be odd and unique and quirky to be a flaming homosexual. That was your way of showing your individuality for some people. Nowadays, it's just a trend. And every youth has to be that for a moment. The whole, I experimented in college joke, they have taken way too far. But it used to be unique self-expression. Now it's just trendy. Now it's just what everybody else is doing. Literally, you find your lifestyle on Pinterest. One of my songs, it says, taking orders from big government and standing there in your standard issue black uniform, how rebellious can you be? You want to say that you're fighting the system when you're in all actuality fighting for the system. You are a tool of the system. 66 watching and 9 likes. That's not a good ratio. But you guys are hanging around. So obviously I'm doing something right. So please hit that like button, guys. That's the least you can do. It's a free way to support me and stroke my ego a little bit. So when I look at the numbers in the morning, I can say I did something cool. Please hit that like button. But yeah, it's so much confusion. They've spent the last 3 decades indoctrinating us. And I say us as an American society, because obviously I've been out of school for more than 30 years. But I've watched it happen with my children, and now I'm watching it happen with my grandchildren. One of the biggest things that they're feeding our children is entitlement. You deserve this just for being. You deserve that. You're entitled to that just because you are. Just because you exist. You have the right to somebody else's hard work, the fruit of their labor, just because you exist. You're entitled to have anything you want, not anything you need. They don't teach the kids about necessities and conservation and management of resources. They teach the kids that if you feel it, you should have it. And if you don't feel like, not if you can't, if you don't feel like earning it, who cares? You're alive, so you're entitled to it. Guess how that works. If you don't get it yourself, you have to take it from someone else. So when you're telling them they can have anything they want, you're basically telling them that they're entitled to go take it from someone else. Just here to hopefully remind everyone we teach kids how to change their car's oil over here, not their gender. Douglas, where are you at? Where is over here? I don't think I've ever asked that of you, so I'm not going to assume. If you're not American with that name, and I know that statement doesn't work for England, so you're not English, Douglas Shatley sounds like you could possibly be Australian. But I'm probably wrong, so I'm asking you. But that's what our kids are taught. Our kids are taught that you're entitled to it. And if you can't or don't want to get it on your own through the fruits of your own labor, somebody else should have to give it to you. That's the beginnings of socialism. Participation trophies and no child left behind. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Patriot Wheel. Okay, I told you. Oh, you're North Carolina? Is that what that says, NC? Okay. Sleeper Dude is a automotive channel that I watch, and they're in North Carolina, and I really love the values they've instilled in their children on that show. So I'm gonna say, because of what I've seen of North Carolina through the Sleeper Dude's family, that your statement is correct, because he has definitely taught his children how to change their oil and more. So because of this indoctrination, we have a bunch, and because of social media and the advances in technology over the last 20 years, especially the last 30 years, we have younger generations of folk that don't understand the value of a hard day's work. Is that a good way to put that? They don't understand that things are earned, not just given. When the exact opposite is what made America great. When America started, we learned that. We used to teach our kids that. I've said this, there's a lot of people that have not watched my channel before, so I feel like I can safely tell this story again. I know I've told it on my channel before, but I call it the dog poop theory. When I was early teenager, talking 13, 14-ish, we grew up with a giant black lab, big 100-pound black lab, that laid poops that you needed a 3/4 ton truck to haul around. And we lived in the city. So we had a small fenced in backyard that you had to walk through to get to the back door. And if you'd leave it go a few days, she'd go out there and poop so much in the backyard that you'd smell it when you went to walk in the back door. And we never used our front door. It was always the back door. So everybody that came over had to smell the dog poop if nobody picked it up. And we had 3 boys, and of course we would fight about it. Nobody ever wanted to clean up the giant horse piles that this dog left. Well, being in the city, we had the ice cream man that came around, and lots of kids on our street. And you could hear the ice cream truck on the next block over. So you would know 10, 15 minutes before he got to you that the ice cream truck was coming. And all the neighborhood kids would be, we'd be out there playing stickball, street hockey, throwing rocks at windows, whatever kids do in the city in the middle of the street. And you'd hear the ice cream truck, and then bam, all the kids would scatter like roaches because they were all going back to their house to get, a couple quarters, a few dimes, whatever it was back then, getting some ice cream money. So I'd go back to my house, and if my dad was home, because my mom never had any money on her, but if my dad was home, I would say, hey, Pop, I want to get an ice cream sandwich. I want to get a push pop. I want to get some off the ice cream truck. And he said, you know the drill. And basically the drill was, if I could go in the backyard and clean up all the dog poop before the ice cream truck got there and left, then he would give me a couple quarters or whatever it was to go run after the ice cream truck and go buy something. But he said, I'm not going to give you anything. He said, if you want to go in the backyard and earn some ice cream money, because ice cream is a treat, it's not a necessity. If you want to go earn your extra treat money, go on, get to working. And there were times when I went and cleaned the entire dog poop and heard the ice cream truck leave beyond the reach of my running. And that sucked. So I learned to do it really, really fast. But that's what I was taught. I was taught that if you want something, especially something extra, you get off your ass and you work for it. You earn it. And you know what? When you earn it, the sugar is twice as sweet. You have a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something for it. And that's, there's not much love lost between me and my stepfather, but he did teach me some manly things, and that's one of them. Is that nothing comes for free. You have to earn everything. If you want it, get off your ass and make it. Fastest pooper scooper in the USA. I probably was, man. And we didn't have the cute little ones with the trigger and the little scoopy thing. I had to go back there with a rake and a coal shovel and a big 50-gallon trash can with a big bag so it'd hold it open. And like I said, that dog, we fed her really good, and she ate a whole lot of people food, so she pooped a lot. And it was big horse poops. But that's probably a little TMI for you guys. But like I said, the point is he was teaching me the value of $1. He was teaching me the satisfaction of earning something. We don't teach kids that nowadays. Yeah, back in the day, you could get something for a quarter. You sure could. You had 50 cents, man. You were walking with a handful of ice cream out the ice cream truck. Because like I said, this was back in the early mid 80s. So 50 cents was still decent money for a 14-year-old kid. Be like giving a kid a $5 bill now, basically. Actually, I think the last time I saw ice cream on an ice cream truck, it was like $5 just for an ice cream sandwich. You wanted the good ice creams, and they're like $6.50, $77. It's something outrageous now. It's ridiculous. It's cheaper just to go to the gas station and buy some ice cream. But I'm an incredibly frugal person because of the lessons I learned when I was younger. because I learned the value of every dime, every dollar. And it means something to me because I had to work for it. These young people, and it's not all young people either. There's people my age that just abuse the system, but they get handed welfare checks. They get, all these benefits, or they get an inheritance somewhere, or they're living off of a 401k that they weaseled their way into. And they have no appreciation for it. No appreciation for those dollars. And I can't comprehend that. That really makes no sense to me. Because every dollar I get is precious to me, even at this age. And if I want more money, I call my boss and say, give me more hours. And I work for that money. That's why I work so much. That's why I literally work 60, 70 hours a week. Because I have a house. We have 3 or 4 vehicles in our driveway. We're raising 2 adult children and their child. I have bills. I have a lifestyle that I want to try to uphold for my family. We're still not exactly wealthy people, but I want to continue a decent lifestyle. We're not embarrassed about where we live or what we drive. We have a standard of living, and it like I said, it's not asking a whole lot, but we're comfortable and we're not embarrassed. But in order to maintain that lifestyle, Lady A's been hurt quite a bit. She hasn't been allowed to go to work. So I've been the sole breadwinner for months now. And it's tough. It's rough. And in order to maintain what we have and the lifestyle that we enjoy, I put in long work weeks. Now, I'm sure the more obvious among you, Rooster, what's up? I'm sure the more observant among you will say, aren't you live streaming from work right now? How hard is your job? And that will be a fair criticism. But I don't want to be here. There's things I could do that are more productive and more fun with my time. And I have to be here. It's still a job. It's still work. And I literally go 2 or 3 days with little to no sleep. Sometimes I work 14-hour shifts. And whether it's an easy or a hard job, that's still a job. And that's still, so I don't feel, even though I'm not working laboriously hard at this job, I'm still putting in hours, going without sleep and being where I don't want to be. But I was taught as a youth that that's the price you pay for getting what you want. And what I want right now is my family to maintain their lifestyle. But kids nowadays don't get taught that. And the adults that are teaching our kids this entitlement and that it's more important to be socially aware than it is to be productive. Think about that for a minute. That's what they're teaching our kids. That social presence is more important than productivity. Oh, you're going to run over to Chris and Danny. Well, thanks for being in here, Shadley. Appreciate you. But yeah, they're teaching our kids that it's more important to have a social presence than it is to be a responsible member of society. Because they have been creating deeper and deeper roots. The government is getting their roots sunk deeper and deeper into our youth. Yeah, tell Chris and Danny we said hi from over here at the Agro Corner. And what they've done, if you pay attention, is they have promoted what's the word I'm looking for? Dependency. They have promoted dependency on Big Brother. I know that's a cliche we don't use very often anymore, but they have indoctrinated our kids to the point that they think Big Brother owes them everything. And when Big Brother gives them something, they go, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" They haven't taught the value of a hard day's work. They haven't taught conservation leads to prosperity. They've taught entitlement. Oh, but you deserve this. It's your right to have this. Oh, you can't do it yourself? Well, Big Brother should be able to hand it to you. The government will make sure that you have cheap rent. The government will make sure that if you complain about glaucoma, you get $1,200 a month for it. Or if you say you have a mental, emotional instability, then you can get an SSI check. All you have to do is complain and say, "My life is really hard," and the government takes care of you. Because they want you to be dependent on the government, because that's how they control you. And that's how they switch everything to a communistic or socialistic form of governance. When you're a baby bird and you rely on the government to feed you, the government can control you and put you in your place. Those of us that are self-sufficient, country boy can survive-ish, the government can't control us. That's why we're the enemy. Because they are pushing for control more and more with every generation. And the more they give them these, the more control they have. We have created, what are we on now? We're not Gen Z. They're saying Gen Alpha now, I think it's whatever. The latest generation is becoming brain dead, thoughtless zombies that play games all day, that have voice commanded computers in their pocket, i.e. your cell phone. I can literally sit here and do everything I need to do tomorrow on this without even having to type into it. This is creating brain dead Americans. This is creating brain dead everybody's, but especially we're talking about Americans right now. This is creating dependent, short attention span, entitled brats out of American youth. To own nothing and be dependent on them. Exactly. 100%. And they're doing it through these. And they do their marketing research, I guess you would say. They track everything that goes on these so they can figure out what their experiments do to the American public, because we tell them every time we use these. Because everything on these is tracked and logged in and sometimes sold and bartered for on this black market. Everything you do every day, this keeps track of. They can hear me talking on this right now, I'm sure of it. I know that's a little tinfoil hat, but we've all done the experiment. You say like 2 words to the people sitting next to you on the couch and wait for the advertisements about those 2 words to come up on your phone. We've all done that, and it always works. If I look at my wife on the couch and say, I have a rip in my blue jeans, I'll have Levi's commercials come up on my phone. I had my pocket in my phone one day, and I told my wife that I broke a television. I turned on my phone. I have Samsung ads pop up on my phone. Not a coincidence. The algorithm is designed to control you by feeding you confirmation bias, for one, by redirecting thoughts that they think are against the system. They manipulate us through these, or through these. I'm pointing at my laptop. They manipulate us through the internet. I hope you guys understand that, because if you don't understand it, you can't battle it. That's why we have to press like. That's why we have to press subscribe. That's why we have to press notification. Because every time you press one of those buttons, this records it, this records it. It goes into the cloud as another byte of information in our file. And that's not conspiracy theory. That's how the algorithm works. The algorithm is designed to you as an individual to perpetually feed you what you've shown it you like. The very definition of confirmation bias is what the algorithm is. It's designed to make you comfortable. It's designed to give you what you've told it you like. That's how they control you. What were you talking about earlier? The dopamine. No matter what your craving is, mentally or physically, you can pick this up, type for a minute or two, and it gets brought to you in one form or another. Damn near anything you desire, you can type in this and have it come to you. That's the ease that we have made our life, that technology has provided us. Why? Because we're being trained not to do anything for ourselves. I was in a lefty chat and I literally got made fun of. I got ridiculed and called names and dehumanized because I said I had a job. Think about that. People of all ages, people of all genders, people of all stereotypical behavior. This entire chat jumped on me, called me a few choice names, ridiculed me for a half hour. Oh, you got a job? You work? That's how it started. Oh, you got a job? What kind of POS are you? Oh, you're 56 years old. Aren't you retired? How come you're not individually wealthy and personally this and that and blah, blah, blah? Oh, you have an actual job? They literally jumped me for it. Chat jumped me for having a job. That's where we're at today, guys. That's what our society is. And then to circle back, Jen Psaki style, we take these kids from third world countries, kids and young adults from third world countries, and allow them to jump into a society that includes everything we've just been talking about. We're taking third world country kids that maybe lived in a village that had 5 cars in it and no running water, no real sewer, lived in a Bedouin village somewhere out in the middle of the rocks and desert. But somebody came along somewhere and told them that they could have a better life. Morning, Godfreys. Somebody came along and told them that you can sneak into America and then you can be in America where you can have everything, and dropped them into a fucking suburb where everybody's got 2 cars in their driveway. Green grass. Not only do we have running water, but little sprinklers pop out of the ground to water our green grass. Holy shit. You think some of these youth have ever seen anything like that? Instead of going to the local farmer's market and stealing a loaf of bread and a freaking brick of hummus, here in America, you can sit on your living room couch, order some DoorDash, and have it brought right to you. A full fucking 5-course meal. Or a pizza to go with your bowl that you're smoking. I'm pretty sure it's life-changing for these kids. But I'm also certain that they're smart enough to know how to take advantage of it. I'm certain of that because I watch it happen. Today's episode display in Dearborn should be your proof of that. I'm sure the most jobs that any of them have are stocking the shelves in their parents' corner store or something like that, because their parents got a tax break for being refugees. You guys didn't know that, did you? This is why all these foreigners own corner stores. They get tax breaks for like 2 years. I'm not sure what it is now. It's been a few years since I looked it up, but it used to be you could get 2 years tax-free for becoming an American resident, not even a citizen, but a resident, because they come over on work visas. And the reason why they switch people after 2 years, if you watch a corner store that's manned by non-Americans, because there are some of them that, Pakistanis or Afghanis or, Lebanese or whatever, they come over here and they got their paperwork in order. They became naturalized citizens and now they own stores. But a lot of them come over on work visas and take over a corner store, 7-Eleven, Dairy Mart, Dairy whatever, Plaid Pantry, whatever you got in your area. But a lot of corner stores, I'm sure in New York on the East Coast, I'm sure that these foreigners own bodegas over there. They call them, convenience stores, basically. No, you're back already, Shelly? But these youth that were either born here or right after their parents moved here, or they were so young that they don't remember anything but here. I'm sure the hardest day of work they have is they have to help their mom stock some store shelves every once in a while. And they have all the newest designer clothes. Nice fade in their hair. Brand new freaking tennis shoes. And $200 hanging out of their pocket, apparently, as tape showed us somewhere today. But regardless, golly, I'm getting tired. I think that's what makes up a lot of the youth that we saw chasing Jake Lang down the road earlier. What the hell was that? That was a weird noise. Go see what Danny and Chris are watching. I probably don't want to, Douglas. If it's Phoebe, if it's that guy with the giant drinks at the dinner table all the time, I probably don't want to see that. You know what? I'll go look real quick just because. I want to leave Jake Lang up there. Because I don't like Jake Lang, but his speech today kind of impressed me. What are they doing it? Oh, is this the Bigfoot Museum? They're at the Bigfoot Museum. Yeah, they may have been showing Phoebe a little bit ago, but now they're showing the Bigfoot Museum. Which I didn't know was in Boring. So, and Boring is the name of the town out here. So I'm kind of jealous I didn't get to go to that. That would have been cool. Holy crap, guys. I'm starting to yawn. I'm starting to get tired, and it's not even 5 o'clock yet. I still got 3.5 hours. Yay. But yeah, these kids are aimless. And I think that's the only reason that they, why they yell, Aloha snack bar, all that shit. Because they got shit else to do. And it's cool when you're that young to be anti-establishment. I have a theory that you're supposed to be liberal when you're very young. By very young, I mean basically 22 and younger. You're supposed to be liberal. You're supposed to care about other people. You're supposed to have need of a place to put all this youthful energy. I did. I was basically a liberal until 1996. Then I was a nothing for a little while. Didn't want to get involved in politics, believe it or not. And then pretty much during 2016, I turned into a conservative that's mostly centered, but I do lean to the right very heavily. I'm so tired. I don't understand. I've been drinking my energy drinks all night. They should be keeping me awake, but they're not. So I had a weird morning this morning. I work night shift, and I get off at 8:30 in the morning. The office staff comes in at 8 o'clock, and then a half hour for transition time and whatnot. And then I roll a ball into, I just lost my train of thought. That was weird. Yeah, what the hell was I thinking? Wow, my train of thought literally went off the rails right there in a split second. I completely forgot what I was talking about. I am really tired. Oh, I was talking about this morning. Every once in a while around this time is when I start getting really tired between like 4 and 5. And I'll fall asleep for, right in my chair, sitting like I am right now. I'll fall asleep for like 20 minutes, half hour or so. I was really busy on the computer last night. So I stayed up my entire shift. And it was 10 minutes after 8. I told you I'd get off at 8:30. And I had 3 different requests for people in my household that are getting their mail. What? I say, whoa, what the hell just happened? Okay, this is bad, guys. Every time I close my eyes, I like temporarily fall asleep for a split second and it derails my train of thought. So if I just said something absolutely gibberish, I apologize. That was really odd. I don't think I've ever had that happen before. It like literally, I fell asleep for a split second, basically, when I closed my eyes, like an instant. And when I opened my eyes back up, I was saying a completely different sentence than I was when I closed my eyes. That was very, very strange. So anyways, I get off at 8:30. Oh, I was proud of myself because I went all night last night without falling asleep. And I get off at 8:30 when there's a Mexican lady that comes in at 7. She is kind of an office assistant to the ladies that work here. So when she comes in at 7, I usually put my headphones on so that she doesn't hear me listening to my right-wing podcasts. And sometimes she puts on her phone and she watches YouTube or TikTok or whatever in Spanish, and it drives me nuts to hear that. So I put in my headphones and, watch some videos, some Tim Pool or whatever, to take up the last few remaining moments before I have to go home. I did it this morning. I literally fell asleep at 8:10 after all the staff had gotten here. And I was sitting there staring at my computer, much like I'm doing right now. And I remember seeing the clock say it was 8:10. I took some of my stuff and put it in my lunch bag, getting ready to leave. And then the next thing I know, the head lady here at the office, the boss of bosses here in this company that I'm indirectly working. Anyway, she's tapping me and she's like, "Aren't you ready to go home?" And I look up and it's like 8:40. And I was supposed to get off at 8:30, supposed to clock out at 8:30. And I literally just fell asleep sitting here staring at my computer. 15 minutes before I have to go home. That was kind of embarrassing this morning. But when I don't get any sleep at home, I usually get home around 9:30ish, depending on if I have to get gas or whatnot. So I'll be in bed and asleep by 10. And then I usually get woke up about 2:30 and can't go back to sleep. So that means every day I get 4.5 hours of sleep ish. That's why I'm tired at work. But anyways, did my chat stall? Or nobody's talking right now. I agree with Jake. It's an invasion. Because everything we've discussed over the last hour and a half, wow, it's been that long. Everything we've discussed over the last hour and a half is being forced upon us by people that probably shouldn't be here in the first place, because I'm completely convinced that 40, 50% got here illegally. It's just early, man. Yeah. Yep, I'm here. Yep, I'm not stuck. So yeah, when I go, I work 4 on and 3 off, unless I pull overtime. So within my work week, in 4 days, I usually get about 12 hours of sleep. I about fell asleep as well. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not that exciting. And I probably have, I've been told that I have the deep monotone voice that allows people to sleep easier. I can talk anybody to sleep. I can sit there and try to tell my wife something about what happened during my day, and I get about 3 sentences out before I hear her snoring next to me. And I'm like, well, I guess that story's going to have to wait till tomorrow. And actually, it's 5 o'clock. So if you guys will excuse me for about 90 seconds, I have to go take a look around, make sure nothing's amiss. So I will be back in about a minute and a half. Please stick around. I appreciate everybody that has been. And in the meantime, during that 90 seconds, if you have not hit the like or subscribe button yet, please do so. I would be greatly appreciative of that. It's a free and easy way to support my channel. But yeah, guys, I'm going to rock outside for about 90 seconds, look around, and I will be right back. Now I'm a little curious. Did anybody see me do that? Was that weird? As weird as it felt to me? Did I literally like just switch topics in the middle of a sentence? I'm gonna have to go back and watch the tape. I'm a little embarrassed about it, but I'm wondering if anybody saw it and noticed that I did that and how weird it looked. because I don't think I've ever done that before. That was really weird. But it is 5 o'clock in the morning, and I've basically been live streaming since, well, I did a live stream earlier with Lady A, and then I got onto Bill's probably about midnight. So it's like 5 hours. I've been just sitting here talking now. I just got my little girl on the school bus. That's awesome. It's 8 here. So you're over, I think you said North Carolina. Was that you that said North Carolina? Yeah. Are you familiar with Sleeper Dude? Because that's what I think about. Because my wife and I watch Sleeper Dude a lot. We're like addicted to that channel. So when I hear North Carolina, that's what I think about. And I do believe that's where Derek Barry lives now, of Vice Grip Garage too. I don't know if you watch automotive channels or not, but yeah, I can't help but think about that. Did anybody notice it? Was it really weird? Was it like really strange? Did you guys think I was losing my mind for a minute there? Because like I said, it felt really strange when I did it. It felt really strange to me. I'm probably fairly soon here. I'm going to have to cut this so I can go get myself some lunch. I've been kind of holding off. Normally I'll get lunch about 4 o'clock, but I don't want gas station food. I'm going to go over to Carl's Jr. and I don't want a burger, so I want some breakfast food. I'm going to go to Carl's Jr. and get some breakfast food. I'm going to treat myself because tomorrow's my seafood night. So I'm going to do breakfast food tonight. Get some bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich or something of that sort. I hope I said something worthwhile in this. We're going on 2 hours now. It feels weird to just sit here and ramble sometimes. So I hope I said something worthwhile and kept you guys. I mean, I've had over 50 viewers, usually around 60 to 70 the entire time. So obviously I'm keeping somebody interested. That's cool. It still kind of amazes me that people are willing to voluntarily sit here and listen to me ramble. That's still kind of a weird feeling. I said I got this channel started by doing boots on the ground at Portland Ice. And I started doing recaps, sitting in front of the laptop, and then we got into other conversations and people were like, hey, I like your point of view. So I started doing these rambling live stream sessions and people seem to like it, but it's still kind of amazes me that, you know, I'm used to people saying, why do you talk so much? But now people tune in to hear me talk so much. So it's kind of a weird feeling. There's a lot of crazy notifications on my phone. I'm not getting a whole lot of people in chat, but like I said, my viewer count stayed up. So apparently you guys are cool with it. When was this? Was 4 days ago. Salt and oh, I know what this is. This is that. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I don't need this notification. Hoo-wee. All kinds of weird stuff on my phone. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out. I really do. If you guys, like I said, if you've not hit the like button, I'm not looking. It doesn't tell me how many likes I have on this program. I would have to bring it up on my phone, and I'm kind of a little too tired to run 3 devices at once right now. So I'm just going to have faith that you guys did hit the like button, and I'll thank you for it. Fox 2 Detroit headline chaos breaks out in Dearborn. Yeah, that was yesterday. That was yesterday, Patriot Wheel. I did look at that a little bit because they had some cool drone shots of the crowd and stuff. Some of you may not have seen it. Maybe I'll go over here and I'll turn that on for a minute. But failed to mention they were against Jake Lang. See, I'm a little bit confused at everything that happened there because let me see if I did that on the computer. Nope, I must have done it on my phone. To Detroit. I'm not sure why everybody was there. What I was told, because I've been interested in the poll for obvious reasons. I will no. Why do I keep hitting mute? All right, we'll play this in a minute, guys. Let me finish this thought. The whole biker angle has amused me and irritated me at the same time. Everybody thought there were going to be a whole bunch of bikers from Sturgis bike clubs and stuff that were going to Dearborn. That was all a bunch of stupid hype. What actually happened was they had planned some kind of church rally, not what we saw on TV today, but like a tent revivals type thing at some building somewhere. And the pastor of said meeting invited some biker groups to come to a church thing. The bikers weren't supposed to come to a big protest. The bikers were invited to some kind of revival thing. And a couple of biker organizations, probably not, obviously not like the Big Five or anything like that, but a couple of the biker organizations said, sure, we would love to come see your church message that day. And somebody ran with that. So all you people that were waiting to see the Hells Angels and whatnot ride into town and battle Muslims, that's not going to happen. Biker clubs, the big biker clubs, 1% clubs, and I use the Hells Angels only because that's how most people think about big motorcycle clubs. That's the most popular, well-known one on the planet right now. So everybody thinks, when you think biker club, you think Hells Angels. Even though Dearborn, Michigan is not even Hells Angels territory. It's actually Outlaws territory or Pagans, one or the other, but I think it's Outlaws. But the media and social media led everybody to believe that the Hells Angels were going to come battle the Muslims. And like I said, that's not going to happen. That's not how clubs do things. They don't get involved in big political things. They're definitely not going to support somebody like Jake Lang because motorcycle clubs operate outside of the limelight. And putting themselves in the middle of a situation like what we saw yesterday is a lot of limelight. And they don't want the attention. They like to do their own thing, low key, peacefully, quietly, without everybody looking at them and being in giant confrontational protest in front of a city hall is not low key. So for all of you that, you know, there's people that have been saying, oh, what happened to the bikers? See, biker, we can't count on bikers, blah, blah, blah. The bikers were never supposed to be there, guys. And the group that was there, I saw one set of patches. I saw a few motorcycle enthusiasts, a few people that ride motorcycles at the protest. But there's a group called the Highwaymen, and they're local. They're from that area. And if you look up the Highwaymen / Antifa, you will see that the lefties, Antifa, whatever you want to call them, held a giant Antifa rally, for lack of another way to put it, in Highwayman territory. Name is, what's up? I wish you had been here earlier. You had some really good footage, dude. There were a few cuts walking around, but I'd say less than 100 bikes. Yeah, you know more than all of us. Yes, I know. We watched your footage on MDG's channel. Thank you for being out there, Name. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was awesome. There weren't that many people out there, and it was truly, I guess, exciting for me to see somebody from my chat out there live streaming. So very much, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. The Highwaymen responded to, I think more out of curiosity, they responded to an Antifa rally in their neighborhood and then got into a confrontation with them because Antifa wanted to, act like they were tough and found out they weren't. So I think that's why. Oh, you made a 2-hour drive? Wow. Cool. It did seem like it was worth it for you. You got a lot of exposure today out of that too, I'm sure. So I think that invested the Highwaymen, and that's why you saw them there. But they're also not a Big Five Diamond Patch Club, so it's a little different for them. I've been a biker involved in patriot activism for the last decade. Ran to the front of the march, turned around, and popped them all the finger. Yeah, I saw that. I was actually watching when that happened. And then you said you were going to leave, and then you didn't because it got spicy. Oh, good question. Was that, I thought I heard your voice on there. I didn't quite understand how I was hearing your voice, but maybe that's how that happened. I was a little confused. MDG is not very descriptive when it comes to what's going on. So it confused me a little bit, but I did hear you. But yeah, I was cracking my ass off. I was laughing my ass off when you were just walking backwards with your middle finger showing in your stream. That was hilarious. But big ups, man. I'm for whatever it's worth, I'm proud of you what you did yesterday, man. That was, as somebody who's an on the ground streamer myself, you did the business yesterday, bro. So you get much love for that, man. And thank you for doing it. We all got to see. Oh, you didn't stream it from your channel? I wasn't sure. Like I said, I saw it on MDG's, which was crazy because I was afraid to turn it off. They were killing all the streams from Dearborn. There were like 4 different channels that had videos up of Dearborn, and then when you went to their channel, it said there were problems. Their chats were still going, they were still live, but they had killed all of the feeds, so you couldn't see any video. So once I got on MDG's and he had streams going, I was afraid to turn him off and afraid I would lose him if I did. So you made the right choice. You made the right choice going with MDG on that. Yeah, hard. Getting nuked hard, man. So let me ask you this, Name. Seeing Jake Lang in person, what is your opinion on his show, his display? Is it as, how would you say it? When you watch it on video, it has a certain aura about it. And I'm wondering how it came across in person. Does it seem like more subdued, not as crazy as it looks on video? Or maybe it wasn't crazier. So it usually goes, they nuke anyone on the ground. Yeah, I didn't think they wanted to promote that. I thought they anticipated probably anticipated more violence and stuff. And there were people there with pew-pews. So I think that's why they started shadow banning everything, or actually banning, not even shadow banning. It was actually because can't live stream. Yep. MDG kept hedging to hide screen a lot. Yeah. That was, he was starting to get a little frustrated. It's about the same, nothing different. Okay, cool. Said I've never seen him in person yet, so I'm not sure if he's visited Portland or not. But I've not seen him in person yet. And I'm wondering if I ever do see him in person, if it's going to change my opinion of him. Yeah, he does have his rights. I agree with that one. I'm kind of the same way. And I agree with most of his message. So I don't want to be I don't want to be overly critical of him, but he's just not my taste. Any of you guys that have watched me live stream, you guys know that I'm usually chill and quiet, and that's why I get to go everywhere I do. Kind of like Name was most of the day today. I saw you just motoring around there wherever you wanted to go because you weren't being confrontational with everybody until the end. And that's how you have to be as a streamer. You got to make a decision as a streamer. Do you want to show the event, or do you want to show you getting attention at the event? I'd rather just sit around and film it, let somebody else do the action. I'm getting too old for that shit. It's like 70% right about the state of things, and the rest is hateful opinions. I agree. I'm 100% on board with that. I gave them 80 to 85%. I was a little bit more generous than you are, but I get your point, and I 100% agree. I agree with a lot of his message. I just don't agree with some of his tactics. I think he's a little bit extra for me, but that's just my opinion. And he has every right in the world to do that. If he's not threatening anybody, if he's not doing any harm to anybody, then he can say whatever the crap he wants, whenever the crap he wants to. Because that's part of being an American. And there's no way you can tell me Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all the gay pride things and all that. They can go out there and make all the noise they want and be as loud as they want and say anything they want. But yet when right-wingers, even people like Jake, who I don't think is a real right-winger, but whatever, that's up for debate. When they go out there, they get shut down because apparently straight white conservative males don't have the First Amendment like everybody else does. And that's just bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And, being involved in the Portland scene as long as I have, I've watched it happen time after time after time again. The cops are not our friends when it comes to that inside blue cities. If you came out here and did that shit, the cops are all over anybody trying to refuse you your right. But in the cities, it's different. And city cops are different. And it's even worse in our town because our mayor, who is consistently a lefty supporting Antifa, because that's how it works here in Portland, they don't get away with everything they do without having mayoral backing. Trust me on that. I will say that this best turnout for support on the ground he's ever gotten. Yeah. Maybe that's why that's part of it. I'm not exactly white. I'm Puerto Rican. Yeah, that would help. I guess that would help if you got a little bit of that ethnicity showing. I guess that would help in a situation like that. But as I was watching all day, I felt a lot of Portland vibes. But like I said, I have a little different take on it. There's a lot of shit I saw today that seemed really staged and really not real. You being there on the ground, I'm sure you have a much different perspective. And I'll tell you what, Name, if it's all right with you, maybe tomorrow we could get together if you want to come on my show and talk about it. You don't even have to show your face, even though everybody's seen your face on your live today. But if you give me a chance, I'd like to talk to you about the boots on the ground streamer that was there. That's up to you, though. I think we'd have to hook up on X too in order for that to happen. So I can send you a link. If you want to, let me know, and we can work that out. Sorry, guys, Lurker here. Just saying that Jake Lang is a very powerful speaker and speaks the truth plain. He's probably one of those beacons of light in the darkness. What will be, will be. You know, a lot of people agree with you, Me Free. Oh, see, okay. I'm so glad you said that, Name. I'm so glad being on the ground and seeing that up close and personal. And I've been saying that all day, that the Yahtzees were fake. They seem like a planted opposition to me. They seem like somebody that you say they were there for Agents of Chaos, and they weren't genuine at all. That it just seemed way off to me. But see, here's how I think about that, Me Free. If he's inspiring you, if he's filling you with American pride and whatnot, then that's a good thing and more power to him. And I'm glad that you're getting that out of it. Like I said, my opinion of Jake is exactly that. It's just my opinion. And I don't begrudge anybody who sees him differently than I do. He does have his rights. He is more loud and vulgar than I would be, but that's just differences in style. Yeah, they were there to discredit. Their mistake was to be holding sign that said Jake was one that showed they were fake. Yeah, and also the fact that they were buddying with Muslims. Like I said before, real neo-Yahtzees, they're not going to buddy up with somebody just because we have a common enemy. They're going to go there and they're going to be them, and anybody who's not them, they're beefing with. That's how real neo-Yahtzees work. And that set my spidey senses tingling about it. I think Jake paid them to be there, kind of, so Jake can say, see, I'm not a Nazi. Wow, that's a different take. I hadn't thought about that one. I guess at this point, anything's a possibility, though. It seems like a lot of work, but who knows? Jake is good at setting up stages. So, yeah, that's a possibility. See, myself, I was leaning more towards the SPLC or the DSA or somebody setting them there, hoping that it would start a confrontation so that them and the media could say, look, these neo-Yahtzees that were attached to Jake Lang started violence. None of the Muslims started violence. It was these neo-Yahtzees over here that are attached to Jake Lang, because that's how the news does it. Because Fox 2 aligned spinning it as if they were against Muslims. Yeah, but yet we have video of them standing next to the Muslims saying, yeah, we're with you. The guy in the white shirt, the supposed leader of the neo-Yahtzees that looked fake as shit, he let the Muslim come up. They put their arms around each other. The Muslim was yelling IRCG. And he's all, yeah, raising his hand in solidarity and whatnot. It was weird. So weird that I don't buy it. But that, like I said, that's just me. You can disagree with my opinion all you want. But as somebody who's been in these situations for years and years and years, the whole thing just felt kind of off to me. Irish Sweetness, welcome. I don't think I'm not sure that I've seen you in my chat. I see you. Is it MDGs I see you in? No. It's Unfiltered's I see you in? Maybe. Leontzi's Green Hat Lawyers Guild. Yeah, the Green Hats were all over. Showed me what side they were on. Yeah, that makes sense, Patriot Will. Number 20, you got this? I don't know what that means. Oh, it's Box. Okay, gotcha. That's where I see you, is over in Box. Right on. Well, welcome to my channel. I appreciate you. And don't make fun of me if I fall asleep mid-sentence. I've done that a couple times already. I'm getting really, really tired. I need to go get breakfast. I think I'm crashing from the energy drinks I had earlier. So I need to go get breakfast and some orange juice or something to wait. Ooh, I could go to Burger King at 6. That's cheaper than Carl's Jr. But as of right now, I have 3 hours left. I always pass by and hit the like, and that is very appreciated. Yeah, I got 3 hours left to work. You as well, Irish. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think the Burger King opens at 6. So if I wait another half hour, I can go get French toast sticks. Yay, breakfast of champions. But they do have good orange juice at Burger King. And they have croissant sandwiches. Croissant. But yeah, name if you're still here. If you want to throw a comment or something, if you want to follow me and make sure I get notified about it. My name is the same as what you see here in X, the Angry Oregonian, all one word, all lowercase. Back to work, break time's over. See you all around later. Angry, good chat. Yeah, thanks for being in your name. Like I said, I'd love to have you on, even if it's just voice, considering you were there. If not, I get it. But if you want to, then, like I said, type my name in on X, hook up with me, and I'll add you back whenever I go check all my messages. But yeah, good work today, man. Or yesterday now, I guess it is. Good work out there. Appreciated your point of view. Yeah, weird stuff today. But who knows? Like I said, there's also the possibility that I don't understand everything that's going on as I see it, because I'm a West Coaster now, and this is somewhere different. The atmosphere and attitudes are different in Great Lakes. I know, because I came from the Great Lakes. I moved from Cleveland out to Oregon, and my mother spent the first month saying, calm down, calm down, calm down. Because everything there is different. Everything is a different speed, different intonations, different things that they do at like a coffee shop and whatnot. Everything's a little bit different in the Midwest, and then even a little bit more different when you get to the East Coast. So it's not surprising that I don't quite understand what's going on. I'm having a really hard time keeping my eyes open. So yeah, guys, in 6 minutes, I'm going to be at 2:30. I think I'm going to wrap this up. I hate to when I got so many people on the counter up there, but I'm starting to get really tired, so I'm going to have to go outside and walk around for a while, wake myself back up before the office staff gets here. I don't need to be asleep 2 days in a row in front of them. But I do appreciate everybody that's hung in here this long. Seriously. I appreciate it. I appreciate it if you hit those buttons. And I like to always end my show telling everybody be good to each other. You know what? Hold on. I said we were going to show this. Let me show this video before I take off. How about? So you guys can see what it looked like from the air. From
The Pulse here live, covering people, power, and politics. I'm Roop Raj. The big story tonight, the demonstrations in Dearborn. An anti-Islam agitator rallies outside the meeting as people show up to push back against his message. And inside, the city conducted its business as usual. Tonight, we're talking with Arab American news publisher Osama Siblani about what he saw, as well as retired Detroit Police Assistant Chief Steve Dolan about the police response. And we're ending on a message of unity. Steve Spreitzer with the Interfaith Leadership Council of Metro Detroit and Pastor Nathan Hayes of Solid Rock Church in Dearborn are in Studio C with how we can all come together, have conversations about religious differences, and realize we all have a lot more in common than we do differences. The demonstrations really got intense in the hours before the meeting. This was the scene just after 6 tonight when police in riot gear moved people away from the doors leading inside the Henry Ford Centennial Library. You'll remember city officials moved the meeting to this location when word of these demonstrations got out. One of the key figures of this, Jake Lang. He's an anti-Muslim activist who has led demonstrations like this before. Lang served 4 years in prison for his role in the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. He was one of 100 pardoned by President Trump on his first day in office. Once the meeting started, Lang carried on his anti-Muslim rhetoric during public comment.
Muslims go home before we send you home. We have cruise ships, we have planes, we have trains, and we're going to pack them out with all of the Arabs. You have to go home. We don't want you here.
After Lang spoke, Mayor Abdullah Hammoud addressed the crowd. He said this issue goes beyond politics and had this message for members of the community who were scared by these demonstrations.
A group of children walked up, and amongst them was a young boy not older than 6 or 7. And he looked at me and he asked if the quote-unquote crusaders that were coming to kill him. And that little boy reminded me that what is happening outside is not just political theater.
Bullshit.
Fear has consequences. So tonight, I want to speak directly to him. And I want to speak to every resident of Dearborn who has felt that fear. I want to boldly say that you belong here. That you belong here as much as anyone else. And generations.
Hammoud also spoke about the importance of living alongside each other peacefully, pointing out the fact that Dearborn is a diverse community. Tonight, we're getting perspective from a well-known figure in the Arab American community, and we're talking about the publisher of the Arab American News, Osama Siblani. And Osama, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us here tonight on The Pulse.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, as you and I have talked about, we wish we didn't have to be sitting here having these types of conversations. When you see this kind of a visit, people, for the sake of context in social media and perhaps those who are younger, don't have the power of history on their sides. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this, and it probably won't be our last. Give us some perspective.
Well, actually, we've had 14 years ago Terry Jones, and he disappeared. He's gone. Now we have Jake Lang and his crowd. I believe that they will disappear, and we will continue to exist and grow and prosper. And America is a great country, and it will take everybody, it will hug everybody, it will accommodate everybody, regardless of their religion, regardless of their political affiliation, as long as they are American, believe in American dream and American, the way of life.
If you believe in the American dream, you're not going to be
afraid of. Muslims in this country, they're not even 1.5% of the population. So for him to start targeting Muslim communities is just, in my opinion,
yeah, I'm sure they were only 1% of Britain.
Nothing more than that. There is nothing there to be afraid of. We love this country. That's why we're here. We're not here by force. Nobody brought us in here under the guns. We came here begging to come to this country. So we came to this country. We believe in the American way of life, an American dream, and we want to stay in this country and prosper and have our kids grow up and their grandkids.
Let's face it, there seems to be two different worlds happening at the same time. There's a world that's in our phone that's built on an algorithm in which 10% of the people make 90% of the noise. And people who follow those folks continue to multiply, and then that feels like reality. Do you believe that the hundreds of people that came from out of town and Jake Lang represent a huge part of this country, or do you believe that it's a microcosm?
No, I do not believe that they represent even 0.0% of this country. No, absolutely not. Look, first of all, I wanted to thank the leadership of the state. From those people who are running for office, to the governor's office, to the senator's office, they have come forward and showed their leadership in this time, at this time. And I believe that Jake Lang does not represent most of Americans. He doesn't even represent a fraction of 1% of Americans. Yes, there are people who are ignorant. There are people who are led by or misled by people like Jake Lang. But I do not think that Americans in general, they think this way.
Well, certainly not in general, but there's fear amongst those who live in Dearborn. You heard the mayor say that a little kid said, are the Crusaders coming to hurt me or kill me? That kind of a fear can develop and turn into something where you have kind of a misapproximation of how large of a crowd that is.
Well, tomorrow the kid that the mayor was talking about is going to get up in the morning, he's going to go to school, and he's going to see all his friends, and he's going to forget about Jake Lang and continue, and probably next in line other people, and he will grow up to be a senator, a member of Congress, or a mayor. So we are here to grow, we're here to stay, we're here to serve America, we're here to live in America, the American dream.
What is it that you wish would happen when an agitator like Jake Lang decides to come to town?
Ignore him.
Completely.
Ignore him. Because the more attention you give them, the more space you are giving them. You are on social media, on people who believe that this is entertaining, or let's see it, and then the algorithm keeps pushing the agenda of people like Jake Lang. Look, we're not going to have the last of Jake Lang. I'm sure that we're going to have other people coming and doing stuff. But we are solid in our belief that this country is a great country, this country that we have sought to live, to become citizens of. We're going to stay here. We're going to do our best to be the best citizens in the United States of America.
It has to bother everybody who is an American, regardless of religion, to see that the hateful speech we saw today wasn't just anti-Islam. There was anti-Semitism that was going on. They had people who were dressed like
anti-democrat.
Well, yeah, but when you look at hate, it doesn't speak but one language, which is that of just vitriol.
First of all, we don't live in a perfect world. I mean, like, we have haters, and Jake Lang is one of them, but I think we're talking too much about Jake Lang. We have so much potential that we're not talking about.
Well, talk about that for a moment. What is it that gives you hope?
Abdul Sayyid is a great potential. He is the son of an immigrant. He believed in the American dream. He's running for U.S. Senate, and he won the primary in the Democratic Party. So this is what America is all about. This is what America is all about. I came into this country in 1976, not speaking one word in English. I am a publisher of a newspaper for 42 years. I entered the Hall of Fame of journalism. We believe in the dream that America gives, the opportunity that this country gives. Forget about what religion you have, or what you believe in, or what political affiliation you have. This is a great country that can fit all of us and accommodate all of us.
It certainly can, and it has. And I think about my own story about my father and mother coming here with nothing but $8 or $9 in their pockets. My dad being an engineer, working at General Tire, General Foods, General Dynamics, and General Motors, a four-star general, I guess you could say. Yeah. But that's the American dream. We all feel it in different ways, whether you were born and brought up here or your parents have been here for many, many generations, and your grandparents.
So you think these people are going to be defeated by somebody like Jake Lang?
And that's the hope that we...
They're not going to be defeated. We will defeat people like this. We will continue. continue to grow. We'll continue to serve America. And
America is a great country, and we thank you, Osama Sablani, for sharing your thoughts with us here tonight. We always appreciate having you.
Thank you, sir.
We're turning
Yes,
our attention
it is
to how police
weird.
handle the situation after the break. Retired Detroit Police Assistant Chief Steve Doland joins us next. You're watching The Pulse on Fox 2.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of The Pulse. Here to talk about how police handle this situation in Dearborn tonight. Retired Detroit Police Assistant Chief Steve Doland. And Steve, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I want to begin with kind of a personal story because your daughter grew up in Dearborn. You've been a member of Metro Detroit for all of your life. Your daughter now resides elsewhere. Is watching what's happening in Dearborn and said to you, Dad, what's going on in Dearborn? What did you tell her?
I said it's crazy up here. She was raised partly in Detroit, partly in Dearborn because Detroit police officer. She moved to Florida, and people say, "Are you safe in Dearborn?" And she goes, "Yeah, why?" Well, we see stuff on the news, and she goes, "It's not like that." She goes, "I go home, I walk in my neighborhood. We have, because I live in a very mixed neighborhood.
Yeah.
A lot of Muslims there, and they wear hijab, sometimes full burqa." And she goes, "Why would I feel threatened, Dad?" She goes, "I don't get it. What's going on?" I said, "Sometimes on the news, they blow things up."
From the mouths of babes, right? I mean, you're talking about your child who has the innocence and understanding of course, growing up with this and not thinking anything of it.
At all.
What is it that you make of today's response to Jake Lang? You think police did a pretty good job, right?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I was just talking to one of your guests that said the only question they had concern was they let him talk for an hour out in front. I probably would have said, "Okay, you got a half an hour, do your thing, and then we're going to get this thing over." But they were trying to keep an even keel, try to keep the people separated. It is what it is. Dearborn, I thought, did a really good job. Everyone I've talked to, people on top of the roof, drones, horses, crowd control, several arrests, but not a lot. So I'm very impressed.
Part of it was also demeanor. You talk about police officers, some of whom, by the way, are Arab American.
Yes.
And they're watching and listening to someone say awful things about their culture, their families, their people, but they still kept the straight face, breathed, stayed strong. Talk about training when it comes to making sure that you're calm in a situation like that.
You know, it's easy. People say, "Well, you're a police officer, you should be able to take it." I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're saying racial things about me, calling me everything, my mother, my wife, everything. And I got to stand there and be professional. You're spitting on me and stuff. They were professional. People are going to say, "Yeah, well, they're geared up, like ICE." They're geared up so you can't hurt them because they want to go home and you want to go home. I thought the Dearborn police and everyone else out there, they're monitoring everything, very disciplined. You didn't, all the stuff, did you see anyone getting beaten?
No.
By the police? No, I didn't see any pepper sprays or batons. That speaks volumes to the way the community, on both, even the protesters, they tried to instigate, but it didn't work. And I give credit to the police.
You know, it's interesting because when you hear someone who has hate speech coming out of them, you think to yourself, man, they're being protected by police. But that's what makes this country what it is. It makes it great because the freedom of speech is allotted to Jake Lang as much as it's allotted to Steve Doland.
Absolutely.
And to make sure that that person's not hurt, the counter protesters aren't hurt, what a job that police and law enforcement have.
It's a tough job. It's not easy. I always say people can talk the talk, but it's nothing to walk the walk. And when you're out in the middle of that and you're wondering, is someone going to throw something at me? What's going to happen? If someone got a gun somewhere, and they did a good job. But it didn't turn to mess. Even at the city council meeting when he was spewing his hatred and stuff, everyone was professional. Well, I could see. And I was just impressed by the demeanor of everybody. Could have been a lot worse, and it wasn't.
There are bad apples on all sides of the coin, and you had some counter protesters that were doing things that were objectionable. But for the most part, they were basically standing there. The counter protesters showed up, yelling back, and in those moments, you saw people literally inches apart from each other. As an officer, what is it that you do in that moment?
It's kind of like when they have the pro-life and pro-choice. Yelling and screaming at each other. Let them scream apart, and don't let them physically have an altercation. Keep them apart. They can say what they want. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. I can say what I want. You can say what you want. I just can't touch you. And so the police say, okay, do what you got to do, and we'll be good. And they maintain the peace.
The rules around those who want to protest, they have to make sure when you say don't be incendiary, don't be explosive, you literally mean that. People can't just go burning things in the middle of a town square.
Yeah.
Well, it's against the law, right?
Exactly.
And that's one thing that
Think,
when he said, I'm going to roast a pig or I'm going to burn, you can't burn anything, much less that, right?
It's just rhetoric, inflammatory rhetoric. I think, stop it. You're not going to, and if you do, fine, you go to jail. You know, you want to do the crime, pay the, how's that saying go?
Well, you do
You
the
know what I'm
crime,
saying, do the crime.
time.
Yeah, whatever. I never did the crime, so I never had to worry
That's
about
why
it.
you never had to say that.
I never had to say it, so sorry.
No, so you know what? I appreciate your time. And again, just a member of the community who cares deeply about a lot of different people. We thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem.
Thanks for being with us.
Everybody
Steve.
likes
Not a
them
problem.
until they
Like
do
seeing
bad
you.
stuff
We're
in
turning
their
to
neighborhood,
an
and all of a
interfaith
sudden they're bad
conversation
guys.
after the break. Steve Spreitzer
When
with
we've
the
been telling them they're
Interfaith
bad guys all
Leadership
along.
Council of Metro Detroit, and Pastor Nathan Hayes of Solid Rock Church in Dearborn, in Studio C, with how all of us can come together. You're watching The Pulse on Fox 2.
All right, guys. Sure you guys seeing, I'm fading really,
Thanks for
really
joining us
fast.
on this special edition of The Pulse. We're having an interfaith.
So I'm seriously gonna have to cut this for now. Thanks you guys for hanging out. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do something later on tonight, this evening. I don't know. I gotta work kind of. Thursday's my early night, so I'm not sure if I can or not, but I'm gonna try. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there. Hopefully, I got some new subscribers. That all you guys that came over from, I guess, Rob's to Bill's to mine. I appreciate you guys. You guys, Beaver, what's up, Robbie? In the meantime, you guys be good to each other. Stay awake if you need to stay awake. And Patriot on.